So I went into YouTube and I put in posture in the search box and looked at the top videos that returned for posture. Found none that mentioned Alexander technique, which in my view is the best way to develop good posture. So the first video featured Caroline Blackburn, an Olympic athlete in England. She recommends tightening the abdomen and the buttocks to get good posture. So, number one, nobody can deliberately tighten any muscle for very long. So your attention will go elsewhere. While you do tighten certain muscles, you won't move as smoothly, you won't sit as comfortably, and you won't breathe as freely because of the constriction going on. So the tightening instruction is going to feel terrible. They'll restrict your breathing and movement. Aside from that, they're great. Now, her advice does not address the root cause of bad posture, which is reacting to stimuli by tightening and compressing. So notice what your habits are. For instance, when you get in and out of a chair, does the neck compress? You get in and out of a chair and the whole torso compress. That's what happens with most people. They hold their breath and they tighten and compress when they simply get in and out of a chair and do all sorts of routine daily tasks. So you could follow all of Caroline's directions, but if you develop, say, this habit of tightening and compressing your neck and your torso every time you get in and out of a chair or chop vegetables or pick up your cell phone, these destructive habits won't change. So, try just tightening your abdominal muscles and see what happens to your breathing, see what happens to your availability to yourself, and see what happens to your movement throughout the body. Alexander technique, Jan Beatty advises those questions. So everything tightens up when you try to tighten up your stomach. This causes unnecessary strain and stress. It does you no good. So the second video I found, how to get good posture, was by a chiropractor, Natalie Cordova. She advocates pulling the shoulders back and down and tucking in the hips. So pulling the shoulders back and down, this is going to narrow the back, it's going to feel terrible, it's going to restrict breathing and movement. So again, she completely ignores the habits that are causing postural malfunctions. So all these people in these early posture video results on YouTube, what they want to do is layer on exercises to do on top of your bad habits that are causing the problem, rather than addressing the habits that are causing the postural problems. And telling yourself to pull the shoulders back and to tuck in the abs have an effect only as long as you think those directions. It does not counter the habits that cause problems in the first place. So for a wider back, gently point your shoulders away from each other and avoid pulling them back. Pulling your shoulders back narrows the back, narrows your upper torso, restricts arm movement, makes breathing more difficult. Then I went to posture exercise by Chris Lopez from fitandbusydad.com. Gives 4 exercises that supposedly correct bad posture. All 4 exercises call for squeezing the shoulder blades together, compressing and tightening the back, constricting the back, constricting breathing, constricting ease of movement, compressing the neck. So this just layers on more bad habits and more dysfunction on top of whatever habits you have now that are causing you postural problems. So you're not going to get rid of your destructive habits of compression by layering exercises of compression on top of them. You're just adding to the compression unnecessary body tension. You're just increasing your likelihood of injury and decreasing your ease of movement and of breath. Then I watched this guy called the Massage Nerd. It just made me wince. Who would want to look like him? Like his head is kind of collapsed into his spine, reducing his neck. He kind of bends and collapses from the middle of his back. He's obese and ungainly. Can't imagine that his touch would feel very good. And there's this guy, Mike D'Angelo, thebodyevolver.com. He is a disaster. Like, he advises you can contract and squeeze through these muscles in the middle of the back in order to hold yourself upright. That's proper posture. This is horrible advice. You constrict your back, you'll constrict your movement, you'll tense, will negatively affect your breath, and you'll feel terrible. So if you want to develop your muscles in the back in harmony with the rest of you, try just sitting cross-legged on the floor, say in meditation pose, and without collapsing, without dropping down, but keeping a nice long back and the head poised on top of the spine. Another thing you can do is practice getting in and out of a chair by stopping at any point and just hanging out for a few seconds. Not just a few seconds, but a few minutes. Any point of getting in and out of a chair, you should be able to just hang out, think about freeing your neck, thinking about the width of your torso, the length of your torso, head releasing away from the torso. And just practice hanging out, thinking those directions. Free neck, head releasing away from the torso, back lengthening to widen. Now most people, they can't hang out here for longer than a few seconds. So this is a way of developing your back muscles in conjunction with the rest of you, not just isolating certain muscles and like pumping, putting a lot of stress and compression on them so that they get bigger. Doesn't really do you any good.